Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Brightsiding podcast. I'm your host, Erica Bogdan, and I'm really excited to introduce today's episode because it was a very special conversation with a near and dear friend of mine, Daniela Marti, and we recorded this live from Paris. This is an extension of my solo episode on love. And we really dive into our shared experiences being in the trenches of being single together. And more specifically, we discuss our experience reading the book Calling in the One by Catherine Woodward Thomas. It is a beautiful book. It's a 7-week course, I guess you could say, on calling in love into your life. And it's something that is pretty revealing and pretty excavating. And the process of going through that together, I think, really deepened our friendship and connection to each other, and also had us sinking into some very honest truths within ourselves. The process of reading that book was not for the faint of heart. And yeah, as two deeply introspective people already, it brought up a lot for us. And we really get into like what that felt like and how that brought us closer as friends and what our experience has been like since finishing that process in about September or October of 2024. We're both still single, but I think this has really shaped the way we interact with the world. We look at our romantic lives. And for me, it's really helped me clean up some habits and mentalities around engaging with, people who aren't the healthiest for me, and has helped me take accountability for a lot of my own behavior, especially my proclivity to engage with crushes or people who are unavailable. I know I'm not alone in that. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you love our conversation. Daniela is also the designer for Brightsiding, so we have her to thank for all of the gorgeous visuals that bring this brand to life. And yeah, it was really fun to sit down together in Paris, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Brightsiding podcast. I'm your host, Erica Bogdan, and I'm here with a very special guest, Daniela Marti of Lunaria Studio. And we have quite the topic lined up for today.
We do. I just can't with this.
I know.
Look at that. No, it's back to being aggressive.
We're reporting live from a hailstorm in Paris. The city of love, city of light. You wouldn't know it from this weather, but oh my God, it's actually biblical.
Yeah, it is biblical. Kind of like our love life.
Okay, well, before we get into that, maybe we should give some backstory on our love story, which is actually so beautiful. So Daniela is responsible for the current Brightsiding branding and so much inspiration and joy and so much friendship in this beautiful life. We met in 2023.
Yes.
I found you through Chrissy Rutherford, who is an amazing writer, writes a great newsletter called Forward Joy. And I was doing research on who I wanted to work with to rebrand Brightsiding. We had our intro call, and it was love at first sight, but also love confirmed by the Twilight Saga. Daniela had bookshelves behind her on her Zoom call, and there was the Twilight Saga proudly displayed stage left. And I said, I'm not talking to anyone else. It's just you. And I think from that moment on, I really knew that we were going to have a beautiful friendship. But what I loved so much in that moment before we even developed like a close personal relationship was that you really saw Brightsiding and you got it right away. And it didn't take much explaining for you to understand that like, this is, I think you called it like, this is a manifesto. And I was like, yes, exactly. Like, thank you. And Brightsiding as a project has evolved so much over the years, but I really do think that in its essence, it kind of is a manifesto. It's like a way of life and a philosophy. And it's been really special not only to have your artistic touch on the brand, but also for us to find such a beautiful friendship throughout this journey.
Yeah.
And you've seen Brightsiding through a lot, but we've also been in the trenches together, specifically as it relates to being single and going through calling in the one, and yeah, just like really seeing each other through a big season of growth and transition and like growing up. And I feel like our love lives have been a pretty constant like source of humor and sanity checks in our group chat. And I'm really excited that we get to like be in Paris together right now, but kind of like reflect on all of the growth that has happened over the past few years.
Yeah. Wait, that's so sweet.
Yeah, I love you.
I love you.
And thanks for being on the podcast.
I feel like we kind of planted the seeds for this episode to happen in 2023.
You think so?
Yeah, because like we worked together, and then we got coffee a couple of times, but then I think our friendship really was like cemented that night where I went to your stepsister's birthday, and then we ended up at this like bar and like trauma dumped each other's like love life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like, I feel like there is a before and after there.
And I feel like that's such a beautiful part of adult friendships. I feel like everyone who's formed a friendship in their 20s knows the moment where you cross the threshold from being like acquaintances to like sisters. And it usually is at a bar, and it's usually when you reveal like every traumatic thing that's ever happened to you. And that was our night. And you were such a trooper because I was invited to my stepsister's birthday, who I really like but wasn't necessarily super close with at the time. And I was gonna go stag, but you were like, I've got nothing to do, I'll come. And it was such a like sigh of relief for me to like not have to go alone. And then we were just each other's like social anchor through the night. And I think that at the party, we were like, want to hear each other's entire dating history. And that's just kind of like how we got through that. I don't even know
how it started, to be honest.
I don't either.
Like,
yeah. Oh, I think that I had been recapping my year. I had just recapped on my notes app like my year in dating, and I was like, oh my god, I have like been on so many dates this year. And her birthday was in December, so it was like the end of the year, and I was like, want to hear about every date I've been on this year? And you were like, okay. And it was great.
Yeah, no,
and it was funny. And 2020, was that 2023?
Yeah, 3.
Oh my god, time flies. But that was like a particularly like active year in my dating life. And yeah, you heard a lot of stories.
It was
that
a
was
great
the
night.
That was the year I dated 2 Gregs.
Yes, the 2 Gregs. Okay, so we are name dropping.
There's no risk of either of those Gregs watching this.
Look, you never know.
That was just a crazy fact of that year.
I love that day. And I feel like our friendship has had such a like natural and healthy progression, because we had that night, then we met up again before I left that December, and then we kept in touch like here and there, but like it just like naturally evolved. You know what I mean? Like then I came back to New York in May of last year, and then we had our Portal weekend with Maxine, who's
not in camera, but she is here.
Yeah. And then I think that was the thing of like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it's such a testament to like relationships in general, because I do think that when we first even had our like intro call, I had this sense of knowing that you were going to be in my life in a bigger way, in a way that I couldn't necessarily like predict, but I was just like, I just kind of had this like, oh yeah, we're gonna like be friends. Yeah, we're not just gonna have a working relationship.
That first day, you dropped a quote that ended up making it into my calendar the following year. Things of value are not afraid of time.
Which I probably co-opted from a newsletter. Or
I don't know, but it really like
was definitely not.
It was
an
perfect.
Original thought, but. Yeah, and I said that because you were booked out at the time.
Yeah, I was booked out until like July or something.
Yeah, and I was like, no problem. Like, I fully trust that like this is the right situation. And the first thing that everyone comments on when they look at my website is how vibrant and fun and gorgeous the design is.
Thank you.
And I'm just a huge believer in like design forward, like
everything,
life, I guess. And I just feel like we were cosmically drawn together.
Yeah, truly. It was the twilight of it all.
Yeah.
The sigil.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think like we kind of had our friendship confirmation that December when went to that party and learned each other's dating history. And then like last spring, I think we really like our friendship really blossomed in such a beautiful way. And then I visited you in Spain for San Juan, which was so fun. And that was right after I had left Google. So that was just like a really important moment in my life, and just like a really fun and carefree week. And then after I was done traveling in Europe last summer, we decided to go through the process of reading Calling in the One together.
Yes.
Because I think, to our earlier point, like we really did bond over having had similar experiences in dating, and just, you know, we knew a lot of similar like pain points of being single. And I think we were at a point last summer where we were really committed to, like, at least for me, I was like, okay, I've had my fun. I've had every sort of dating experience you can have in New York and worldwide. But I was like, I'm ready to take dating a little bit more seriously. And I feel like for the past few years, I've been saying that I have been looking for partnership, but my actions haven't necessarily like aligned to that. And I was just like, it's time for me to kind of like clean up my side of the street. And like, I was kind of sick of being in the same sort of like patterns, because I think I was noticing a lot of like repetition happening in terms of like, I felt like I was dating the same guy over and over. I felt like I was like kind of stuck or like capped at a certain like level with dating. And I wanted to get deeper with that and explore that.
Yeah, and enter Saito, as I call it.
Yeah, enter Saito, which was such a crazy experience. How would you describe it?
Well, it is not marketed as it should be. You know, like I went into Saito thinking that it was going to be kind of like
to be magnetic.
Yeah, like process, and it was going to be more about like manifesting a partner or like writing these letters, or I don't know. And it's really like such a powerful 7-week thing where you have to sort of like deep dive into your family's patterns, your own patterns, your core wounds. Like there's so much that like it was a lot. Like after week 3, if I hadn't been doing it with you, I would have quit. Like,
I don't think it's something that I would have been able, I don't think I would have had the stamina or like courage to continue if I didn't have an accountability partner. And for context, we decided to read this book because someone that we both follow, Danielle Prescott, had read it and was like promoting it. Not promoting it, but she was like, this book got me my boyfriend. So we were like,
let's
okay,
go.
Let's go.
And so like I had been seeing it consistently. Like I saw it like at least 7 times before I was like, wait. And then you saw it, and then we saw it, and then it was just kind of like, okay, I see the sign and I will follow it.
Yeah, and it was right place, right time for both of us. I think you do have to be in the right like headspace to commit to something like that. And to your point, it's a 7-week program.
Yes.
And it's like exercises like every single day. And I thought the same thing. I thought it was just gonna kind of be like, make a mood board. Like list out all of the things you want in a partner.
Yeah, watch a movie with an actor that you really like.
Yeah.
Like
No, but it really had us like sinking to the bottom of the ocean in terms of like,
so much
our psyche and what was contributing to like our behavior in dating and like what we were attracting. And I think the thing that was the most powerful about that experience was that it creates room for you to look at painful experiences that have happened to you, but it moves you forward in a really empowering way. It's not like having you inhabit like a victim mindset. It's like, oh, these painful experiences did happen, and like I still fully believe in like what's out there for me. And like I don't think it's about you being responsible for any like pain or trauma that's happened to you, but for me it's like, okay, I've been in this same pattern, like how have I been contributing to that or like attracting that in my dating life, you know?
Truly. And like I think that at the end of the day, like you are an active participant in the things that you're like co-creating into existence. And I think that that book really helped me like realize that. Like through that book I was like, wait, I dated the same person and kind of like created these situations that would very obviously from the start disappoint me.
Yeah.
You know, like And I knew it kind of from the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh wait, like I'm just here, wanting to suffer.
Yeah, it kind of calls you out. Who was
Like,
the person that you kept attracting and kept repeating?
it was kind of like a different version of my dad. And I mean, I know that we're not supposed to think so much about our dads, but it was it was kind of like someone that was like charming but did not like deliver. Like wasn't there when I needed them to be. And also someone that was like kind of like, when you buy something at a store and it's like really shiny, but then you try it on at home and it's like, what? Was I like mind tricked into this?
Yeah.
That's how I would describe like who. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I was attracting unavailable. I was like very actively attracting unavailable men. And for me, I was like, I think very crush addicted. Like I loved the sensation of and the dopamine hits of having a crush. And I think that as a writer, my imagination just takes like, it takes such little time to develop like a whole narrative around someone. And I think for me, I learned that it was like, or I realized that I was developing all these crushes because it was safer to have like this whole imagination playing out in my mind. But I knew that this person wasn't actually available. So like it kept me at arm's length from like the actual vulnerability of like putting myself out there and engaging. And like when I say that these men were unavailable, they were either like in relationships or not what I was looking for or like emotionally unavailable. And then I would question and spend all of this time creating these dramas in my head around like, why don't they like me? And I was very aware that I was building these like narratives in my mind, but I was also taking the lack of engagement from them like very personally and really like spinning my wheels with that.
Yeah, I relate to that. I was famously just calling in unavailable people,
Yeah.
But I feel like in the last like 2024 after Saito and like that's changed. Like I don't feel like that's like my frequency anymore. How do you feel?
I think it's changed a lot. I think I still do love a crush, but I think that in general, like my last relationship ended when I was 26, and my relationship to being single has evolved a lot over those years. But within the past year, especially after completing this calling in the one journey, I think I'm much less consumed by these crushes. I think for a long time I was focused on like the lack of love in my life, and I was so focused on like the fact that this romantic love that I wanted so badly like wasn't there. But this past year I think I've really refocused on the abundance of love in my life, even if it's not romantic love. And I've settled into a much calmer headspace, I think, around like trusting that this relationship and this love is out there and I don't have to do anything to earn it or like work to get it. Like it's just going to happen in its own time. I think like that's a huge shift.
Yeah, no, and I think that having like getting crushes is actually not bad.
Yeah.
It's like I think that it's like I think that everything moderately is good,
Yeah.
Like in moderation, having crushes is good.
Yeah.
And we work because I rarely am crushing on someone.
Yeah.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Like I feel like I'm like dead inside sometimes.
You're not dead inside.
I know I'm not dead inside, but it's like I wish I had more crushes. I just don't. I'm like I'm either moved to tears or feel nothing.
Yeah, you famously are you have a pretty impenetrable crush wall.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel meh about whoever I end up,
Yeah.
with, period.
Yeah.
So
I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, but I think that's a really good point. Like crushes aren't a bad thing. No. I think like a big takeaway from this experience for me has just been like to crush a little bit more intentionally perhaps, or just like know when I'm crushing as like when a crush is a distraction and when a crush is like, oh, an actually like expansive experience where like this person is showing me something that is really attractive to me or is maybe mirroring something like in myself. You know, I think crushes actually like are a huge mirror. And I feel like a lot of if I think about crushes like of the past year or so, like I think a lot of the people I've been really interested in like have something that I find really attractive because like that exists within myself, but it's not really expressed yet, you know? Like, for example, there was someone I had a crush on last year. How do we say this?
That you met, and he was cute.
Yeah. I met someone who was cute, period.
Yes.
But I think as I have kind of like examined what was it about that crush that was really like exciting to me, it was that he was like pursuing a personal project in a way that I felt was like very inspiring. And like I think that was something that I wasn't engaging with Brightsiding in quite the same way at the moment when I had met him. I kind of was, but like I think that energy was just like really exciting and like inspiring to me. And that's what I mean when I say like sometimes I think a crush is like you're really attracted to someone, but it's reflecting something within you that either like you aren't really acting on in that moment, or it's like the thing that is attractive is maybe something that like you just need to pull out of yourself more. You know, it's not so much about like, oh, if I were with this person, this would make me happy. It's like, oh, if I were engaging with this thing that they're engaging with, maybe that's the like thing.
I think you're onto something there. And I think that ultimately, like, that's how we should feel about the people that we're like engaging with, you know? Like, there has to be like a sense of like inspiration and aspiration too.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe that's why I find it so hard to be like crushing on people. Because like I'm perfect, you know? Like, no, but like for real, it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's like I've embodied so many things that I wanted and sought out in other people in the past that like I'm like, beat me, you know? Like beat me at it. I really don't know. I'm just like, I'm kind of like in a spot where I've tried for things to happen, and every single time that I like try to push the narrative that I like came up with in my mind, something gets in the way. Like I remember this was probably like 2023 or something. I've been doing pottery for years now, and there was this one cute guy, like the one cute guy in class, and he was like, we have like set times to go, and he was a part of like a different group. And he came to my class one day, and I was like smitten, and he was like flirting with me and like making sure that I knew that he wasn't gay, which I was like, okay. So then I was like, I'm going to find out when he goes, and I'm going to change classes so we can like see each other. I asked my instructor to like change me to the Thursday group. And then she's like, oh my God, that's perfect because 2 people are leaving the group. Guess who left the group? Like it was kind of like God or whatever was like, no, like
you can't force this.
You can't force this. You can't like engineer yourself into something, like no.
Yeah.
And it just like is like that. Like I met this cute guy once at a bar. He was moving the next day. And I was like, okay, amazing.
Yeah.
So it's just like I'm in my surrender era, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm spoken for, and it sounds insane, but I feel like it's kind of like I'm already like in another realm or in like another timeline. I'm already with someone, and until it's that person, it will be a no. So I'm just floating through life.
Well, I do think that is a huge theme of our post Calling in the One journey.
Yeah.
Like surrender and just like kind of a calm sense of abundance or like a sense of trust is something that I don't think I had when I was freshly single at age 26. You know, like
No.
I think there was a lot of grasping for me over the years and a lot of like having really high chemistry first, second, third dates and then like crashing out immediately, and then me grasping for like the reason that it crashed, or me having like developed this attachment to the story or like the idea I had based on these like highly inflated, really like chemical first dates. And I think it's been a huge relief over the past year to kind of just be like, I won't miss this when it comes in. and I can't control how it comes in as much as my little writer brain like wants to write the story.
Exactly.
You know, like I can't.
No, you can't
it.
mastermind yourself into a relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like it literally happens the moment that you least expect it, as everyone says.
Yeah.
And also the moment that you're like so focused on yourself that like they just like appear.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just like, I don't care. And not that's what I keep saying to see if it works.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I feel like you do care though.
I care, but it's like it depends on the day, you know? Like today, we're here in Paris, right? And we're having the best day ever. And we had such a wonderful day yesterday. And I'm like, look, if this was the rest of my life, just hanging out with my girls and I don't know, having to like figure the rest of my life alone, I would probably thrive. Like, would I feel fully complete? Maybe, with a lot of therapy. I don't know. But it just feels like I do want to share this with a partner. And I do want to experience Paris with a lover, you know, and all of these things. But life is pretty sweet, you know?
No, but I think you're so right. And there's something to be said with like, I mean, on the theme of brightsiding, like meeting yourself where you are and just looking around and being like, my life is so beautiful, and being present to what's right in front of you. There's something to be said for that. And I think in the context of this conversation and like what has changed over the years of my singleness, I used to be so focused on this like thing that I thought would define me or heal me or make me happy, like that being a relationship. There was so much focus on getting that or attaining that I was not fully present all of the beauty and like richness and friendships that were all around me. But I agree that at this point in my life, I just feel so focused on everything that is right here. And there is so much joy and beauty and presence in that. And I feel like that is the most valuable shift that's happened, is just
Truly.
an awakening to the reality of our own lives, which is so gorgeous.
And I think that timing is also such an important thing that I keep coming back to. Like, I'm so grateful that all of these like people that I try to engineer into my life or whatever didn't work out, because I don't think I was in a space to be in a relationship until like maybe recently. Like, I had so much to unpack from my last relationship, and I've done it in therapy, and I thought that I had like fully fleshed it out, but like even just like recent, like a month ago, I had like a huge like unlock, and I was like, wait, like this is the like the actual like root cause of so many things in my life, and like this pattern that I hadn't like fully noticed, and I don't think I was ready to notice. And I'm like, okay, this is why it, like, my body was not prepared. Yeah. My mind was not prepared. My soul was not prepared. Like, I think that the realizing the thing, like what it was just like everything, like a culmination of sorts.
Yeah. What was that thing? What was the realization?
So I realized that I was emotionally abused in my last relationship. I just didn't have the language for it. And that's like crazy to say, because I feel like I've done a fair share of like therapy and read about like abuse and trauma and like so much, but the specific emotion, like type of emotional abuse that I endured, I didn't like, I just thought he was being mean. And then I blocked out a lot of memories. And it's funny, but I realized, and it's kind of like a pattern in my life. Like, books have always like carried messages for me. I was reading this romance novel that your Kim had recommended to me back.
It always like, comes back to Kim.
Yeah, like in August of last year. And I didn't read it because I was like, I don't know if I'll like it. And then my best friend read it and was like, you need to read this right now. Like, you need to read this. Like, stop what you're doing. So I started reading it, and the main character is exiting out of a relationship with a narcissist that emotionally abused her in the exact way that my ex-boyfriend did.
Oh my God.
And just reading some scenes where like he was just like, he would comment, like my ex-boyfriend would comment on like my nail color or my skin or Like, it started with like small things, and then 3 months later, he would just be like, you used to be cool.
Oh my God.
I don't know what happened to the girl that I met. And then we would be at a bar, and then he would just go like, have you noticed that not a single man has looked at you? And I was so like not okay at the time that I one, didn't know what to do. I would just go home, cry about it for like an hour, and then not tell anyone because I didn't want anyone to hate him, you know? So reading this book really like unlocked so many like memories that I had decided to like not address. And I realized that I had self-image issues that I had not addressed because I was not ready to address this.
Yeah.
But the moment that I gave it a name, like that what I had experienced was abuse, and that he, in fact, I mean, Godspeed to him, had narcissistic qualities, at least at the time, like something unlocked within me. It was just like, oh, wait, like these beliefs are not.
Yeah, this doesn't have to be your story.
Exactly. And also, this doesn't come from childhood. This isn't like a mommy daddy issue. No. This is something that happened to me, and I've been unpacking this like trauma for 4 years. And like, this is why whenever anyone gives me a compliment, I cringe.
Yeah.
This is why I can't take a compliment on my physical appearance without like going all queasy inside. And I didn't know that, you know, it was just like such like a moment. Yeah. And ever since like that week when I realized that, a bunch of like synchronicities happened that just like proved that further. This guy that I worked with at that time reached out via LinkedIn and was like, hey, like, I remember you. And I was like, what? Like,
yeah,
it was so crazy. And yeah, it's been like, I feel so much more confident now. Like, I feel like I unlocked a level of confidence in myself and like, and in my appearance that I didn't know was missing until like a month ago.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of this sort of work. And the work is not about like read book, get boyfriend.
No.
The work is like, I think deepens your capacity for reflection, even if the reflection comes in unexpected ways or is really painful. Because I think that the work that you do through something like Calling in the One, it's very confronting, and it's not fun. Like, there are parts of it that are fun, where you are making the mood board and you are making the list and like daydreaming, and I think it's so super important to be like leaning into that kind of playful energy. But I think for both of us, it opened us up to be able to see things that we weren't willing to look at previously. And that's no shade. That's not something for either of us to feel bad about. I think if anything, it's something to celebrate that we are open to that level of reflection now, and like are able to see these things for what they are without attaching a whole story to it, and just being able to look at it and say, that was real and I'm not going to allow that in anymore, and like move forward. I think that's incredible. And it serves you not just in like the romantic aspect of your life, but in friendships and like
Truly.
What you're willing to accept in your life, which I think is so beautiful.
Yeah, no, it was transformative, and I'm grateful that it happened now because I have the tools and the capacity to like hold that past version of me with so much compassion and love. Whereas like maybe a year ago, I would have given myself so much shit for it. Yeah. It's like, I think that it's such like an ego trip to like realize like, oh, I let this happen. But you all like, there's so much that you don't know in the moment. Like everything, I need to talk about this a lot. Like, hindsight is so fake, and hindsight is like not real. It makes us feel bad about ourselves. We did not have all of the information then, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just like, I think if I hadn't done Cyto during the summer with you, if I hadn't like continued to work on myself and like explore all these themes and have an open heart to it, is like, I think that's the other part. Like, to really examine your dating patterns and your patterns in general, you have to have like an openness and a willingness to see the ouchies.
Yeah.
That is really brave. And
yeah. And we've both seen a lot of ouchies and seen each other through a lot of ouchies.
Yes.
Like, we've been there.
What are you thinking of, Erica?
Well, maybe the cornerstone event of the summer was... I don't know if we can talk about this.
I think we can if we talk about it from like a Shakespeare perspective.
Okay.
Like let's set the scene of the play.
Okay. There was an event.
There's an event. Yes, okay, let's go back.
I hosted an event.
Erica hosted an event.
At the end of the summer.
Yes.
Actually, time frame ambiguous. Last year, I hosted an event.
Yes.
And at the last minute, it was revealed that one of my many crushes.
Yes.
Not special.
Not special at
was going to be at that event.
Yes. And I was also going to be at that event.
And one of your crushes was going to be at that event.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Who is in no way related to me.
No. He was invited to the event, but casually. And I think that crush is a strong word. Okay? It's kind of like a concept. Okay? But
he'll never see this, so it's fine.
It's fine. Anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're there.
There was an event. Someone I was interested in came.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God, someone that I'm interested in came.
And you told both Maxine
I
and
texted the group chat. I said, guys, someone that I'm interested in.
Yes. And we were all very excited about it.
Is coming.
Okay? Yes.
And yeah, I was like, cute. What's going to happen? And what happened was
Shakespeare.
Thunderstorm, lightning cloud. I'm running the event, social butterflying.
Yes.
You end up at the same table as this person I'm interested in.
Actually,
and
no.
the person that you're interested in.
Yes and no.
At a table.
Yes, at a table. Yes. And
you were doing something.
I was doing something.
And they were both there.
Yes, and I was actively trying to talk to the concept that I think is very interesting. Okay? That was what I was trying to do. But Erica's crush, I noticed, you know when like guys have like a little twinkle in their eye and you're like, I'm gonna back away slowly from this wild animal. You know what I mean? I was like, I really hope my intuition is off because I was not trying to be charming for you, sir. So I go back to where I was supposed to be, and I don't say a single word because I don't want this to exist. Okay? I'm canceling it in my brain. I'm like, please don't be what I think you are. Like, really. Okay? So the night continues on. And I'm sitting with Maxine.
Who's stage left
Yes.
presently? You're sitting with Maxine.
Yes, I'm sitting with Maxine, and can we move back to your POV?
Well, I'm like, the same way that like your intuition is like, fuck, I picked up on it and I was like, oh, fuck. I know what's happening. And I know it was just, as it was going down, I was like, this is something so Shakespearean that we will be unpacking in like 2 hours when we're at the after party.
Yes.
And yeah, what was going down is that you were getting asked out.
No, you had that thought even before that happened.
Yeah, I saw it all happening.
Yeah.
In real time.
It was.
Even before. But I was like, oh, fuck.
No.
I was like, you knew what was happening. I knew what was happening. I think our shared brain was like.
Yeah. I was mortified. I was mortified because I was like, I know how much of a crush this person is to Erica. And also, like abort mission, you know? It was just like, don't make eye contact, like act like, and I think that maybe was the thing that was most appealing. You know what I mean? Like they seemed to like
you weren't
rejection.
trying to like play coy.
No.
It like wasn't an act.
It was
just
not
like...
an act, no. And yeah, so anyway, I was like, for the rest of the night, I was like, okay, he's not trying to talk to me. I was wrong. Haha, you were wrong. Yay. Like,
I want to be wrong.
I want to be wrong. Yeah, exactly. And then as we're about to leave, this man approaches me and asks me out. And Maxine's next to me and she's making the funniest face in the world. My face probably was like fish out of water. Like, it was probably something else. I was also just like, oh my God, I'm scared of Erica's reaction. I was like, this is gonna be like not the vibe. And I was also like, how do I handle this? Also, this had never happened to me. I had historically always been that, like, you in this story. You know what I mean? Like, I had always been the girl that like liked someone and then they hit on their friend. Like, that was historically the truth.
It's not a fun place to be.
No, it's not. So it was just, I was like, oh my God. And then, yeah, we handled it really well, though.
Well, I think it was immediately, like, quite funny. Like, it wasn't But we were like, this is, of course, this is happening. And I think we were just like, okay, let's just like lean into the comedy of this.
Yeah.
But it was ouchy. It was like,
Yeah.
it was just like you see it happening, and it's just like the music that signals tragedy in a movie. And it's like,
Midsummer Night's Dream, you know? Like, just, everyone was confused.
And I don't think that he knew that I was interested in him. And I don't think he needs to know. Ever.
He doesn't need to know.
We've been through it.
Yeah, we survived that.
I think that event was a surrender moment for me. I was like, all right, listen.
Yeah, and we were like in the thick of Calling in the One also. We were like on week like 4.
Yeah. SMH. So anyway, divine redirection.
Truly. And I mean, that was fun. I mean, now in retrospect.
It was funny.
Yeah, and I think that like, look, it worked out, and
the event was a success.
The event was a success, and it was memorable, you know? Memorable, really memorable. So, yeah. And I don't think that's ever going to happen again.
I fucking hope not. Yeah. I think that's a one-timer. Like, I don't think our creator is going to put us in that situation.
No. And I feel like we like very different like target audiences. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like we have the same type. No. Our Mount Crushmores are very different.
We have recently learned that like hair is a big one though. For both
hair
of us.
is huge. If you're out there and you have great hair. Yeah, no, hair is very important. But like, I think that in every other aspect, our like type is different. And I don't really think I have like a type. Do I have a type?
I don't think either of us have a type.
No, not really. Yeah. It's kind of like an energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what else do we have to say about being single? What else do we have to say?
It's kind of great. I feel like it's really good for character building. No, for real. And it like, I think that it's like, I'm really happy that this was my experience in my 20s. Like, I dated back to back to back in my early 20s. And by the end of that, I did not know who the fuck I was. And I also didn't have space for it because I was holding space for these like children that I was like in relationship with. And I'm so happy that like I've given myself the gift of like me time.
Yeah.
And just doing what I want like 95% of the time.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's great. And I'm also ready for the next chapter.
It's great. And I think it's also, these years have like really informed what I want in my life, and therefore like the type of partner that will also share those values or like want those things. Like for me, I think in the past year or two, it's revealed, something that's revealed itself to me is my love of travel and my desire for that to be a huge part of my life. And even me going to Tokyo and Bali and Thailand, like I think that was a really important experience for me to have had single, because if I was in a relationship, or I don't know if I was in a relationship when that opportunity came into my life, I would have wanted to step away from it. And now I think if that opportunity were to come into my life again and I was in partnership, like that partner would have similar values where he would either like come with me or be so encouraging of me going and us making that work. And I think at this point I just have a really deep sense of faith that all of the experiences that are to come will only continue to like inform the type of person I'm like meeting and attracting. And I think what this all really boils down to is just like, I think by this point in our lives, we have such a strong sense of our values. And to me, I think type doesn't really matter, but like value alignment is like the thing that matters the most. And I think from there, like attraction is so natural.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to look back at this video in the future.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we've got Paris to enjoy.
Truly.
Yeah. Anything else?
Well, I love you so much.
I love you too.
Yeah, like our friendship is so dear and special, and just like continues to like add so much joy to my life. And yeah, I'm just so happy that you saw the Twilight books and decided to book with me. Because like, look at us now, 2 years later in fucking Paris.
I know. It's really beautiful.
And like, I mean, I don't want to make this about men again, but I think that like the statistical improbability of our friendship gives me so much hope.
Yeah.
Like, like so many of the friends in my life right now are like, we have such odd stories, like meeting stories.
Yeah.
And I think that that's exactly what's going to happen with like your partner, my partner.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to meet them in the most random, magical, like kismet way.
Yeah.
And it's all going to work out. And I won't control the narrative, you know, and you won't either. And it'll be great. So.
And then we'll write the stories after they've happened.
Yeah, we'll do a follow-up episode.
Yeah.
Of
I love you.
How
I met your boyfriend.
Yes.
How you met my boyfriend.
Yes.
How we met each other's boyfriends.
Yes. Imagine it happens like kind of at the same time.
I can imagine that.
That would be
I can
so
totally imagine
crazy.
that.
But yeah, so.
Well, thank you for
Putting it out there.
guesting on this pod. It's about time that we get you on the pod. And I feel like there are so many other conversations that need to be had and recorded between us.
Truly.
I know that will happen. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing to like be in this chapter of life together. And it's an honor to know you and to love you.
Single tear.
Well,
thank you for having me.
thanks for tuning in. And if you want to know more about our relationship to being single and if you want to know more about the specifics of these crushes that we've mentioned, our thinly veiled crushes,
Thinly veiled or concepts.
we probably won't give you any further information, but you can ask.
Okay, bye.
Love you, bye.
Bye.